Hello, welcome to I Want to Talk Movies. I'm Andy.
I'm Patrick.
I am confused, and my name is Drew.
Always have to do something special, but what we do have special today is we have a special guest joining us today, our friend Jonathan.
Woo!
There you go.
That's my name.
Since we're reviewing Blade Runner, we all saw it together, so why not all talk about it together?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Novel idea.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. So today what we have another quick get to know us segment. Patrick has a question today.
I have the question.
Yeah. Which I'm excited.
The power therein.
The power.
Well, you're gonna
Feels
share
so
what.
good. You don't even know.
He's super excited.
I know how Andy feels all the time now.
You have no idea. But, we're gonna share what we've been watching, just to give you some mini reviews of like what we've been watching on whatever. And after that, we're gonna go into an in-depth review of Blade Runner 2049. So yeah, I'm super excited.
Okay.
All right, Patrick.
So my time to shine,
your
right?
time. Do
Okay, people. I've tried my best to get this question as wrapped up as possible. So my question is, what movie, preferably an older movie in the past, portrayed future technology so poorly to the point where it's like laughable? Like, what was your favorite scene or favorite movie that did this? In layman's terms, what movie had future technology be super shitty, just like over the top, just like you laugh about it now? I guess I'll go first to give an example.
Yeah, that's right.
So one of my favorite worst movies of all time is called Space Mutiny.
Space Mutiny?
Space Mutiny. And it's this great movie about a space mutiny.
I don't even know if I want to ask you any questions about this. But can you please elaborate?
It's super convoluted. There's like this Santa Claus dude, and he has like a princess daughter, but she's like the same age as him. And there's like a young hunk dude who falls in love with this gal, and she's got this crazy little hoop skirt. There's a person who dies, and then she's in the next scene later on in the movie.
Honestly,
it's so poorly made.
Was this like the?
Film?
I haven't even got into the technology part yet. But okay, what's your question?
No, like the science fiction.
Yeah, Mystery Science Theater did a spoof on this.
Okay, that's
how I discovered this movie.
All right,
But
so
it's up there with Killer Shrews. It's great.
Amazing.
So the technology in this movie is pretty awesome. So first of all, there's the final battle scene takes place in these little tiny golf carts. They're kind of like, rocket shaped, but they move just as fast as if someone was walking. The final battle scene takes place in these, and they like ram into each other and stuff, and it is so pitiful. Like throughout this whole movie, they have like laser gun fights and spaceship fights, and it ends in the like corridor of this giant spaceship where they're just in these little golf carts that can barely even do a 180 turn.
It's like the whole Austin Powers, like...
Oh, exactly. It's exactly like that.
You just, like, backing it out, you can't.
Yeah. Oh, and they make use of those like, Orby lights, like, where you touch it, the, like, little electricity looking things.
Oh, yeah,
they love those things in this movie. You're, like, everywhere. Someone's, like...
Everyone is familiar with.
Everyone's, like, touching those and stuff, and it's just, like, they're like, oh, the power! It's just, like... It's freaking great.
Wow.
I mean, this is kind of technology related, but not really. But it starts off like you think this like ship is the good guy. Like they're like, oh, here comes our fly or whatever dude, and then he ends up being the bad guy. This movie's all turned around. It feels like a space version of something Tommy Wiseau would write. Like everything
That needs to be a movie.
doesn't make sense. But yeah.
What time, like when was this made?
Oh, I don't remember. I actually have it up right here. Looks like 1990.
What?
Yeah, 1990. That doesn't sound right. I must be reading this wrong. Can't be. 1988. That
Okay.
sounds a little bit better. That's only 2
Still, I mean,
years away.
still,
That's
that's
like
not.
30 years ago.
Yeah, it's still like.
Does it?
That's still pretty recent.
Even like
for what
Star
I
Wars
thought.
made their technology look cool,
Yeah.
and that was in the 70s.
Well, I mean, they had a budget. It sounds like
Yeah.
these guys kind of sounds like just they
Very-
pooled their pocket change and then.
They just went around the room, asked how much you had.
Yeah, this. You guys, if
We can't
you're a
get beat
fan
tonight.
of
We
bad
gotta support
movies,
the golf
like
cards.
this is definitely one of the better ones
Well,
for sure.
I do love bad movies,
So
so
yeah,
in.
this is definitely one of my recommendations.
Do you know, like, did it ever explicitly say, like, how far into the future?
I'm trying to figure that out, but I can't find it anywhere. But yeah.
Alright.
But hopefully that was a decent enough example of what I'm looking for. Oh, and sorry, this is in reference to the old Blade Runner, because Andy and I just rewatched that. He'll talk about that later. But there's some pretty crappy technology scenes in that movie.
I was gonna
hilarious.
mention a few of those myself.
Yeah, we'll talk about
Yeah.
that. But that's where this question was brought up. So, Andy.
Oh man.
Fire away.
It's like several, like, I don't have like
You can just do a scene.
yeah, I mean, there's just like, one movie that like had such funny technology to me was, for some reason, The Fifth Element, because it was just, it was awesome.
That was a good.
You know?
That's a good choice.
But like the technology was just goofy, but the way that like the whole movie was set was just, I don't know, it just worked. So I kind of appreciated how it was. Because I don't know exactly, like there's no particular like technology thing that looked kind of funny, but like, or example, just like the whole setup universe how it was. I don't know. It was hard. This
I thought
question was
the
different.
element part was pretty funny myself, when they throw like dirt and that like creates this like element. You know, the last element's
Yeah.
like love or something, right? They're fucking, and that's like
No.
what's like. That's like.
That's just to me that was kind of just I could what is another like I don't know like Judge Dredd, the first one, like that was kind
That
of
one's
God.
pretty. That one's pretty.
God.
just to,
Like the very first
That
one.
the very first one, yeah, so Stallone, like that was
Talking about
also
the load, oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rob Schneider's like hiding in like a garbage robot the whole time.
yeah.
Lord have mercy.
But yeah, so like those are like the only examples that I could think of. This is a hard question, but it was I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's go to
Hopefully, Drew.
Yeah, so I got two. I was gonna say the one from Blade Runner, but I think we'll touch on that in a little bit.
Okay.
But I got two other ones. The first one is from The Time Machine from the 1960s H.G. Wells Time Machine, and
Is this the movie that doesn't end?
what?
The movie that doesn't. Does it have like a long-haired guy who just keeps going further and further?
No, it's like with the Murlocs and like the guy travels way into, it's like set in like the Victorian period and he builds a time
it's
machine.
not the same
Is he?
movie.
Does it literally just take time in place in the time machine?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I think it's something else.
Yeah, so this it looks like Santa's sleigh with a giant ass clock on the back of it. And I know it was written a while ago.
Wait.
but
It's supposed to be bad technology.
No, it's just so funny seeing like, because I mean, you see other adaptations of like time machines and sci-fi movies, and it's generally like a big chamber and someone steps in it. This guy's like driving around this like it's like a velvet red chair.
He just fucking hijacks
yeah.
Santa.
Yeah, he's just like, hey, what's up? And he's like driving it.
It's not
through
even a
time.
DeLorean. It's a
No,
sleigh. Open sleigh.
It's open air. Yeah, it's just him chilling in this like red velvet chair. It's like, remember like the bubble machine in Willy Wonka, like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory,
Where they're like in a bubble.
No, where he's like, it's like the weird like tractor looking thing that spits bubbles out the sides, all brass and like kind of like. Well, it's so like steampunky and funny. It's got like just got big knobs and levers. It's like I can see
I
gears
remember.
on
I
this
can
thing.
picture
There's no
it
way
now.
this thing's traveling through time. Like it's like runs on coal or something. I don't know, but it's I really like that one. That one I saw that as a kid and it's kind of stuck with me. And then the other one is just RoboCop. Just kind of himself. Just like when it's like the UI display and it's like all like the analog looking numbers going across the bottom. It's like, no way you're processing that fast. Like it's like compared to like now, and like the chicken walker kind of robot thing that they show off, it just immediately kills a board member. Like, oh sorry, like let's
that was
let's
so
like
great.
put that one
and
away.
it makes a lion scream
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
God, that's the best part. Is like roar. It roars. It's just this like 2-footed robot. Like
And like, they add the roar and like, oh, the giant minigun on it wasn't intimidating enough.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got like, so those are my two future tech gone bad examples.
Jonathan,
Just for the record, I love RoboCop.
I love that movie too.
It's like it's just funny looking
it's
back.
artistically gory. Like it's awesome.
Yeah.
Were you happen to think of anything, or maybe elaborate on any one of our picks?
I actually, as you guys were talking, I actually thought of 2 examples. That
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
So one, when Andy mentioned Stallone, I immediately went to Demolition Man.
Oh,
That's the one. That's
this
the
is,
one.
I haven't seen this movie.
You have to see Demolition Man if
Wesley
you are
Snipes
like
movie.
into like those
Okay, I need
amazing
to- I need to hear
90s
about it
movies.
I think everything in general about that movie is just terrible. Like, it's a pretty good movie. I enjoyed it, but just like you have like these little knicks-knacks, like or what are they called?
Some of the seashells.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the shells, but even more so what was it, like the police? How they have like
Like an ID or
no, jeez.
When they swear, they get a ticket
Yes.
every time.
Yeah, how they're just monitored by that, like how the radio as well. It's very like uppity and chip, like
Oh, it's all commercials.
all commercials. And I just think of like maybe it's not super far off, but I just really
Yeah, the all commercials is pretty.
that random voice you're hearing is our color commentator Royce. So yeah, you might hear from him. But continue.
yeah. So I definitely remember that. And then Tom Cruise Minority Report. The whole
Interesting.
the whole moving your hands as a
Interesting.
computer, and then
Enhance.
I think the best part of that though that just like really gets me is that all that was added in, and it's just Tom Cruise making like these weird
It's just
movements.
like waving his hands around.
Enhance.
You know, if I remember correctly from that, they have that whole thing where it's like they hook up the people who can see the future,
That's
report
right.
the crimes. But then like the crimes reported like a little bingo ball that like comes down a track and they look at like, that's a crime, and they're like,
They don't
It was like
question it
color
all.
coded.
Yeah, it
Those
just-
color coded balls. Like,
it's color coded.
Yeah.
Like that's the best they can do.
Yes.
It's like, well, that one's bad. That's a bad color. Like, let's go. So I did.
Those are some pretty good last minute off the top. Of your
Yeah,
head.
well done.
Oh man.
Okay, Andy.
Very nice. Very nice. Did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I just think we should, before we... I don't want to get distracted when we actually talk about Blade Runner by
Okay,
the bad
yeah.
technology. Let's just address this right now. The whole scene where he's like analyzing the photo
Yes.
in his
Enhanced.
apartment. Yeah.
Enhanced.
45 to the right, 30
I
down.
think that's actually what
It's-
gave me this idea for
It's-
this.
I think one of my favorite parts about the whole thing is that this is a device that he has set up ready to go at his TV, and all it does is you slide in a photo, and then the photo can be analyzed. Like, I get he's a cop, but he's an ex-cop. He gave that up a while ago. What is he doing with that still plugged in? What is he looking at? What kind of photos is he looking at here? And analyzing to this degree, it's insane. And just the fact that it like shifts perspective. Like, did you notice that? He's like, it's like the woman's like blocked off on the side of the mirror, and he's like, enhance 40.
And then he can actually see
Yeah,
the
and like the
whole woman.
angle of the photo changes. You're like, bullshit, bullshit.
I'm trying to like pinpoint exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about the little robot that like flies in the sky, right?
No.
No, in the old one.
In the old one.
No,
Yeah.
I was like, wait, I didn't remember that in the new
No,
one.
that's
No,
that's kind of
first one.
decent future
When
tech.
the only,
Like,
like,
I could totally
yeah.
see that
Looking
being
at a
a police
picture.
thing now. Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we'll definitely talk a little more about the first Blade Runner
Oh,
before we talk about
absolutely. Pretty
the
crucial,
sequel.
but just wanted to get that out of the way.
Yes.
Just kind of tackle those demons before we hop on there.
Thank you. All right, well, let's get into what we've been watching.
Yes.
And just, let's start with Patrick.
Oh my
You
god.
seem ready.
Yeah.
I've been so excited to be
You
able to
seem
talk
ready?
about what I've watched
So
this
let's
week.
just
You're
do
gonna have to
it.
cover for
So-
me this week. Just putting it out there.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have a lot to talk about.
Good.
And it's like content. It isn't because of quantity. I'm standing up for this, by the way.
Wow.
So
Power stance.
my sister recommended this movie to me, and she hardly watches anything, but it's called The Barkley Marathons. It's a documentary about one of the world's hardest races in the world. So this race takes place in Kentucky, and this race only invites about you can sign up for it, but they only accept about 40 to 60 people to do it.
Wow.
And
that seems like a
and
very
this
small
race often has no finishers even. There's no one that even finishes this race. That's how hard it is. It isn't like a 40% success rate. No, this is like a 1% success rate race.
Is it just because of the distance, or what's the deal here?
Okay, so this it takes place in Kentucky, and the race. So apparently, a third of this race is on a trail, and the rest of the race you're just out in the wilderness. 2/3 of this.
No
race.
compass, no nothing.
You have a compass,
but GPS. There's
no GPS. You don't have a map. All you have is a compass.
even trail marks at all.
You're allowed to. I think you're allowed to bring whatever you want, but no GPS for sure. You can't have that. So it's so you do 5 loops, and each time you have to go into a different. You have to go back in the different direction that you came from the last time. So if you went from the left, the next when you come back from the right, then you actually have to go back from the right.
What?
And this and you have to finish this race within 60 hours. So each loop takes.
Hold on.
Each loop.
Wait. Look, we need to digest this.
Yeah.
Please.
60 hours.
Yes.
There are 24 in a day.
Yeah.
We're all on the same page?
Yes.
Yeah.
This takes the course over 2.5 days.
What's the mileage on this bad boy?
So they don't exactly know.
All right.
It's between 100 and 120 miles.
That is a big red flag right there.
So I honestly want to spoil everything in this movie because I have a feeling no one's gonna watch it unless
I'm kind of really. Where'd you find it?
it's on Netflix.
Is it still on there?
Easy.
I really want to give up the ending.
Go for it. I mean,
okay.
I'll probably
I think it is still worth watching because it's really all about the experience
The
of
journey
this.
and
Okay.
destination.
But
So spoiler if you are going.
this
to
is
watch
a spoiler for the movie because I
Okay.
just have to talk about
Okay.
this
So
movie.
3, 2, 1, go.
So and it's all this one guy. He made this whole race by himself. All he accepts for an entry is $1.26 or something like that. A very weird specific number, but only $1.26.
Well, clearly he's not doing any trail maintenance. So
If you're new to the race, you have to bring a license plate from your state. And then sometimes he also just requires a random article of clothing. It's whatever he kind of
this guy
wants
sounds
at
like
a
a
time.
modern witch.
So in this one, he
Like-
wanted a flannel shirt from you.
A flannel
So
shirt?
you brought him
Why
a
not?
flannel shirt.
Why not?
If you're new, you brought him a license plate from your state, and you also brought him $1.26.
Is this just run by a crazy man out in the wilderness in Kentucky?
Okay. When you're first watching it, that's what it is. But I want to get to the end.
Yeah. I'm just you keep bringing up points that leave me.
This
flabbergasted.
is honestly a great documentary. So, I think this race took place in 2003 or 2005. Can't quite remember. But and then also every year he also invites one person who has no deal being there, so he dubs them the sacrifice. So there's always just this one person who's not supposed to be at this race. So the guy who is the sacrifice for this year, he only got 4 miles in. And each loop is 20 or 26 miles, right? He got 4 miles and he came back and he's super bloody.
I have
Why?
No words.
Did he kidnap this man? Like, how does
No,
it work?
they go out on their own free will. They're allowed to quit whenever they want.
Do they know he's called? Did that guy know his name in the race?
No,
Was
he
that
did not.
sacrifice?
He did not
I don't
know he
think
was
so.
the sacrifice, but everyone else knew he was the
So
sacrifice.
they just came back and he's all bloody and like, good, oh my god, the races. Everyone's like, oh,
Yeah. Do they know?
None of them get laughed at.
Do they
Okay.
know? Does everybody know that he's a sacrifice before he comes?
No, not
Does it?
before. Like
Just
when,
when
he's
he
on the trail, like
Fails
he,
miserably.
Well,
Just pass his
he'll
picture
tell
around,
whoever
keep
asks.
eyes
So a lot of this race is mostly like veteran people or people who come watch who've done it before or just know about it.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a spectacle to at least wait for the people to come back after their like defeat, pretty much.
It actually sounds like a good time.
So the way that they actually make sure the people are on track is that he leaves books out there and you rip out the page that corresponds with your number. So you have to rip out 11 pages from 11 different books and that makes sure you're on the track rather than just like staying like a mile out and then coming back, you know? That's how you prevent from cheating.
There has to be some strange arcane reasoning behind. If you rip pages out of the book, if you bring one
Okay,
article of clothing,
so first
and
of all, a lot
something
of the
from your
books,
homeland.
a lot
It's
of the
like,
books like titles will like deal with like are always like funny or related, like oh you're almost there, or it's like Dante's Inferno. You know, it's all the titles.
Oh my
like,
God.
are, it's,
This is crazy. This is
so
madness.
it's all a big joke in a sense. Like that's what I'm
This
trying to
is-
get to here. It's like all this guy's big joke. And I think it's great because it's like through the middle of the movie, he's like pretty much talking about how the race is about it's helping people get over failure because like this race is meant to make you fail, and like a lot of us today are so scared to fail. And I just thought that was an amazing he talks about it like, yeah, it's no big deal, like this is really hard, this is really challenging, you know, and they're gonna come back fail, and you know what, they're not gonna feel bad about it because they're gonna try their best, and they're probably gonna do something that they thought they couldn't have done before. And I just thought that was like, even though I know that concept, like seeing it visually was like amazing because a lot of these people, you know, they get out at certain times. In this documentary, 3 people actually finished the race.
Wow.
And it was just crazy, but at the very end of the movie, it's hilarious because you know the people who made this movie, they start asking him questions, and they're so have you ever finished the race? He's like, no, I've never even got close. I couldn't stop. So this is one of those movies where, like, of course it made me laugh a little bit in the beginning, but this is one of those movies that felt like it was a giant joke and the punchline was all at the very end. Like I just couldn't stop laughing at the reasons why this guy made this. And then also like, so it's called the Barkley Marathons,
I'm
right?
writing it down right now because I really need
It's
to.
called the Barkley Marathons, and they ask him why they called it the why is it named the Barkley Marathons?
Mm-hmm.
Like no, they don't know, and he's like, oh, my friend Barkley, he's a really great guy. And he named it after his friend.
This is
who has
crazy, man.
nothing to do with the race at all.
Just a really great guy.
Nothing. Yes, exactly.
I can't
It's
even
just
handle
because
it.
he's like
He's the best.
Oh my god.
There's so much more I want to talk about this movie,
Oh my god.
but I think I got to stop there.
Yeah, save something. I'm gonna have to watch
So
this now.
one
This
more
movie-
time, where can you see this?
It's on Netflix. It's called The Barkley Marathons. It's a documentary. I think it's totally worth watching.
Oh, man.
When you're first watching it, you're gonna be exactly like Drew and everyone else in here. You're gonna be like, is this just a crazy guy? In a sense, like he's kind of is, but in a sense, he's also kind of like a guru. You know, like he has
That's
a lot of wisdom
eccentric
behind.
then?
Yeah, eccentric wisdom for sure.
There we go.
All right.
Like he did so like a lot of people. There's a lot of people apparently like hate on him for this race because he did it because the guy who assassinated Martin Luther King, that he ran away from the prison that was in this area. So some people see it as like him like commemorating this man for killing Martin Luther King. He's like, that's not it at all. It's actually the opposite. I'm making fun of how people can overcome what this guy couldn't, because he tried to escape the jail and he only got like 4 or 8 miles away in a 60-hour period. So he's making people travel 100 miles in that same amount of time. So he's making fun of this guy who committed such a tragedy on a very proud historical figure.
Yeah. Interesting.
Okay, now I want to talk about some horror movies.
Yeah, bring it on. It's the
Sorry, I'll go fast, Andy.
It's Spooktober.
Don't Kill It. Dolph Lundgren is the main actor in this.
I'm sold.
It's pretty great. It's about a demon you can't kill because the way it transfers from body to body is if you kill its host, it goes into you if you're the one who killed it.
Oh my God.
So this leads into some crazy hijinks, of course, especially with Dolph Lundgren at the helm.
It's very It Follows.
Yes,
Like how you
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
but
original.
but for as campy of a movie this was, I thought it was actually like not bad. Like I enjoyed this movie. They're definitely like the acting is a little rough, of course, but story wise, like I didn't think it was too bad. Then I watched The Funny Games for the first time.
I've heard of that.
So this is a heavily referenced torture movie. Very, very popular torture movie, and I actually really enjoyed it. I wouldn't recommend it to my mom. She loves horror movies, but if you can't take like movies that are on the more realistic side, even though there definitely are some like goofy breaking the fourth wall moments in this movie, there's definitely scenes that are I want to say graphic, but a lot of the worst stuff takes place off screen. But when you see the aftermath, you're kind of like...
You're like, beginning and end.
Did you find that more impactful, like the way that was portrayed?
No, to be honest, I honestly thought, but it would have been probably over the top if they would have shown. So the reason why I'm saying this is a kid dies.
Sure.
Like they murder a kid, and that hardly ever happens in movies. And
is this movie like literally like kind of like in the vein of like Saw or like what's that other one, Hostel or something?
It's not like those because those actually show you like what's happening. I mean, sure they take out some little bits, but a lot of the worst stuff doesn't take place on screen.
So kind of like you just get beginning end and then
yeah, it's more of like how fucked up these two rich preppy kids are because they just go from rich house to rich house and they pretend like, oh, we just came from this blah blah blah. We just need to borrow some eggs, and that whole thing. But I honestly, personally enjoyed it when it comes to like horror movies like that. Because I'm not the super big torture film guy, but
I feel like sometimes it can have more of an impact on an off-screen
yeah.
kind of tour. I mean, think of the scene from Reservoir Dogs.
Yes, but I didn't get the same sense I did with that one though.
Would you say like your like for it was more of like you appreciated they weren't like spoon feeding you like the torture?
So what I liked about it was the creepy vibe from the two main guys, and then also how destroyed the family was from this whole experience. Yeah. And the whole time you're just thinking about like how are they going to get out of this? And spoiler, they don't. The bad guys win in this.
Damn.
And so that's why it's a pretty rough movie. And then shout out. Oh, sorry. No, I'm going to shout at. I am the pretty thing that lives in this house. Bad movie. It's a Netflix original. I did not like it. It's just it's all about the ambiance and like the scenery and stuff. Like, but the fucking story is shit. I just remembered that I'm thinking of forgetting about it. Oh, okay. Here we go. Gerald's Game. Watch Gerald's Game. I'm not gonna talk about it. It's about a woman and her husband trying to rekindle their marriage. They try to do some kinky stuff. Long story short, she's handcuffed to a bed and he has a heart attack. Oh! It is a phenomenal movie.
Yeah, is it
Stephen King.
Robert Redford who plays?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It is amazing movie.
What a
it
concept.
takes place in one room, and it is great. It is an amazing movie. I really, really want to spoil it, but I'm not because I want you guys to watch it.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's been telling me to watch this for like the last several days.
I've been telling
pretty
many
much,
people to
yeah,
watch
I'm pretty
this.
much gonna probably sit down at some point and definitely watch it.
And the Barkley Marathon,
Yeah, and
even
the
though
Barkley-
I spoiled that one.
Yeah, and it's a Stephen King.
Yep, and there's another
Yeah.
Stephen King movie coming out next week on Netflix too,
Okay.
1922, which I'm pretty excited about.
For sure. Dang. All right.
Yeah, I guess I'll end
Cool.
there. I
Nice.
have more to talk about, but I'm done.
You might
All right.
you might just have to talk about it for me.
Yeah.
I talked
you
a lot
watched-
about the Barkley
yeah,
Marathons though.
I finished up the season of Rick and Morty. But I don't believe we're gonna talk about that today. I think we might be saving that for another time.
I'm still 4 episodes behind.
Yeah,
You gotta get on
exactly.
that.
And I kind of want to talk about it. I want to see, talk about when everyone has had a chance to
Yeah.
All right.
digest.
Thank you.
We'll
So
we'll definitely try to
Rick
do
dies.
a mini review.
I wouldn't be surprised.
no,
There's a lot of Ricks out there.
He wouldn't die. He would kill himself. That's
Oh, you mean real Rick?
That'd be
Yeah.
more realistic.
Yeah.
True.
Real-
Some of
Rick's-
my favorite episodes from the series though are in this season. Just gonna put that out there.
Okay. This is a strong season.
Yeah, it definitely is. But yeah.
Yeah, well, we can definitely.
Next.
we can definitely do like a mini review or like have a whole review
Yeah.
of the season because I definitely would love to like dig into it.
Have you been watching
all my
anything, Jonathan, at
energy into
UCSC?
Blade Runner this week.
I have not really watched much.
Well, glad we got you on our show then. Okay, Andy, let's what have you been watching?
No, I don't.
So I'm gonna just talk about two things that I definitely want to share. So I recently watched the show that's on the movie that got put on Hulu just recently called Colossal with Anne Hathaway and Jason
yeah.
Sudeikis. This movie it's awesome. I love the premise, and I think it's the premise is about Anne Hathaway's character overcoming like her being like this party girl and always going drinking, not taking her life seriously, to where she has to like go back home, and somehow when she goes back home, in this forgot what it take like something going on in the Korean town where like this colossal monster like pops up and is destroying it.
Wait, in
So,
Koreatown?
yeah, it's like a town in Korea.
Oh, a town. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember when that movie was out.
Yeah, and somehow she thinks she's tied to it, and so it goes into that, and so she plays a really good character. Jason Sudeikis plays also a really good character. I wish I can get into spoilers about it, but I'm just gonna highly recommend it.
Cool.
But I really enjoyed it, so I definitely recommend you guys watching Colossal. And I also watched the Spielberg documentary on HBO.
Oh,
And-
I actually caught a
Yeah.
quick glimpse of that.
Yeah,
But
and this guy is just, I just love this guy. Just now getting more like familiar with like who he is and like what his life was about. Just makes me appreciate like all his work even more. Like he just was like a non-stop like filmmaker. And,
All the movies me and Drew made fun of you about not watching.
well,
Yeah.
I, there was
Finally
a couple.
watched.
Well, I mean, a couple. Like again, but
he's
some-
amazing. I love it.
No, well, like, for example, like the Indiana Jones ones, right? Like those ones I saw as a kid, but I don't remember them. So I'm like, I'm not gonna say like I have seen them, but like I want to rewatch them. Is pretty much why like I said I didn't see them. But like all the other classic ones, like Jurassic Park, he even did Minority Report, which is pretty cool.
It's true.
So those ones, like I just really like. It just makes me respect like him as a director and like what he's done.
He's a very good
Hollywood.
storyteller.
Yeah.
He's got a really prolific resume. He's done his finger in quite a lot of puddings.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just found the documentary very personable and like very meaningful. So
Nice.
yeah, it's a very cool thing that I really enjoyed watching. So again, I'll recommend that.
Okay.
But yeah, I kind of want to get more. I want to get into the Blade Runner. So
Yeah.
we gotta
That's
give that plenty of time.
good.
So to start out, I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel like for Blade Runner 2049, I feel like you need to see the first one in order to like get the feeling of the recent one.
I agree and disagree with that statement.
Okay.
I feel like there's a lot of the first one that just let's go over a quick like plot summarization of the first one, which is Harrison Ford plays a Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Which is a special police unit that tracks down rogue replicants.
The replicants, yeah.
Which are synthetically created humans, which are used as a slave labor force.
Right.
And sometimes they get loose and they go on a killing spree and like hijack a ship. And the story basically revolves around him tracking down 5, 6, something like that.
I think it's 5.
I think it's
Yeah, 5 replicants.
It might have actually been 6.
It might have been at 6,
he-
but they only but the thing is he gets 5 out of the 6.
So, yeah, he does that, and they wind up killing the head of the spoiler alert here if you haven't seen the first Blade Runner.
Shame on you if you haven't.
And they wind up killing the head of the corporation that makes the replicants.
Yeah, Tyrell.
Tyrell,
Okay.
yes, Tyrell something. And meanwhile, one of the rogue replicants, Harrison Ford, and the replicant fall in love. And the end of the movie is they kind of escape out of the city, even though she's classified as a rogue replicant now, and they're gone.
Right.
And that's where the first movie kind of ends. So I feel like the first movie mostly deals with the struggle between like the 5 really rogue ones that like hijack the ship and kill people,
Right.
and kind of he's chasing down the streets and he's shooting them, and then you can kind of pick up a lot of Harrison Ford and Rachel, that's the other replicant that he falls in love with. You can kind of pick up a lot of their relationship from the second one.
Right.
So I wouldn't say it's critical, but if you want like an understanding of the world, I would say it's really important to go see the first one.
Okay.
You can get the second one without having seen the first one, but you're
Yeah.
not going to have as good an experience.
For sure.
I would probably side with Drew on that. I think the new movie stands alone.
Mhm.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I don't think you need to watch the old one, but I think it makes the experience much more enjoyable.
Yeah.
If you watch.
So
the first one.
I'll give my I guess my argument, my point of why I think I think it's a good idea to watch the first one, but like
Yeah.
I said, if you don't want to watch the first one, but yeah, like the movie is definitely like a good standalone movie. I'll agree with that point, but like I would suggest to watch the first one, but
I highly recommend it,
Yeah.
actually.
but for sure. But once we get into this one, into the 2049, we'll definitely
Well, what's your
Yeah.
stance, Jonathan?
Well, just before I even say anything, I really appreciate how the second movie really, it didn't kill you in exposition and drowned you in like, oh, this is what happened in the last film.
That you make a good point.
Yeah.
there. It has light little touches.
And it was more than enough. Like
Yeah.
it was.
Oh, yeah, there's plenty to
Yeah.
extrapolate from, yeah.
Yeah, but I kind of like a consensus here. I think if you want like a real experience of the whole world as a whole, then yeah, you probably want to watch the first one as well.
I mean, they have that like kind of paragraph at the beginning of the
Yeah.
film, and I thought that was, that they kind of summed it up perfectly, and they kind of filled in the gaps between, because I think the first movie it ends in 2018, 2017.
Yeah, there's like a
Yes.
30-year gap.
Yeah,
30
and then it's
yeah.
2049.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of a nice, they do a good job of filling in the blanks there too, in just, a couple of sentences.
Alright, cool. Well, let's get into the Blade Runner 2049. Let's just, before we do spoilers, like, what are you guys' first impression? Let's go. Drew.
I really liked it. I thought it was a really good sci-fi film. I heard mixed reviews out front, and so a lot of people were saying that it was really difficult to understand and that it was not like a blockbuster hit. And I don't like. I definitely think it was a little more cerebral than like the Avengers or something, and I really appreciated that. I really liked the fact that it was you had to think a little bit more about to kind of it didn't hide a lot of stuff from you, but you definitely had to read into things more. And there was things that made me like second guess, and then at the end of the movie it's like, oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
So I thought it was a really good, because Blade Runner, the first one, was pretty kind of artsy and
Yeah.
pretty-
yeah, for sure.
yeah, definitely.
Very-
Yeah,
yes.
definitely. a more kind of mindful film, and I think this one captured that spirit pretty well. So
Okay.
definitely liked it.
Cool.
Definitely
What
liked
about
it.
you, Patrick?
I actually disagree with
Oh.
your view. I actually didn't think it was like that hard to understand.
No, and that's what the reviews. I read some reviews that said that, so I went in thinking that.
Oh,
And then,
okay.
you know-
You made it. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, no, I
I
didn't.
misinterpreted then. But okay, I disagree with those people.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't find this movie. This is non spoiler right now, right?
Yeah, not spoiler.
Okay, so, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
You didn't find this movie very cerebral.
Yeah, so I didn't think this movie was like too hard to follow. But that's kind of why I like the first one. I think I like the first one more than this one, personally.
Okay.
What I like about both of them is that it keeps the same, like, almost style and edge of the world. Like,
Yeah.
even though
Yeah.
the technology is so much different, like our film technology is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
It's like you still see the floating cars and like the crazy, just huge, bulky buildings, and it's still dark, but it's still beautiful at the same time. And I was blown away by that fact. Like, I think the
visual
imagery
style
is
is-
Oh, yeah.
great. I thought the acting was good, but this movie was very long and draining to me. I understand,
God.
like, that's kind of like a poor reason to like knock down a movie, but that's just honestly how I
No, I mean,
felt.
I think there's validity in
Yeah.
you know telling a succinct story.
Yeah, it's so. I mean, this movie's 3 hours long, and it's. I mean, it definitely needs all 3 hours, but it's not a movie I could rewatch again. Though.
Would you say it was like your mindset that made you more like drained, like you weren't prepared for it, or do you think that would have changed anything? Or?
That you may have made a
That's an
point
interesting
there?
question,
yeah.
The thing is, I know I could rewatch the first one, but I don't think I could rewatch this one, and it might just be because.
Just
Ryan
like-
Gosling's character may be not as engaging as Harrison Ford's character was in the first one. Because Ryan Gosling is a very robotic character. Like, he's not... Like, he did a great
Well,
job, but he's not very exciting to follow, and you're, like, with him this entire journey.
Man, I like his art though. I do like, but we'll get more into that.
Okay,
Into
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely talk about that. Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
so... But, sorry, what I wanted to make fun of those people that thought this was too...
Quick interjection. I just saw the movie with Drew,
It's true. It's
and
true.
I had no idea that it was 3 hours. That blows my mind. I did not think it was 3 hours
Here we
long.
go. We have a whole different.
End of comment. That's all.
Yeah. So for our friend Royce, the movie did not feel like it was 3 hours for him.
I think
But-
had I not been like tired that day, I probably wouldn't have noticed either.
Well, what is your first impression of?
So my first impressions was
Oh, cool.
going.
Cut me off.
No, Patrick, please finish. Did you?
Yeah. Sorry, did you,
Yeah,
I
better forget
did you
that.
have more?
This is what I wanted to say about those people that thought this movie was too confusing. This
Okay.
movie was way more blatantly in your face, like, oh, these robots were slaves. I thought the first movie did a lot better job of being more subtle about that. And
About the
then
whole slave
the
thing?
replicants, yes, I thought, like, it was a lot.
I mean, in the beginning of the first movie, they explicitly say they are used as slave labor.
Sure, they say that, but they don't ever They don't show ever examples,
I see.
and it's really
I
easy
see.
to forget just that paragraph in the beginning, where this movie's like literally all in your face all the time. We are slaves, and we want to rise up, and all that stuff. And like the Harrison Ford movie, like I forgot like these robots were, and that the very end scene of the first movie is great. The bad guy, is
Yeah,
like
like
maybe
how you
not
put the-
even a
everything-
bad
put the
guy.
quotation marks over
He
the-
gives
yeah,
his
yeah.
monologue as he's dying. It's just one of the
Beautiful
most
monologue.
beautiful
Yeah.
scenes in movie
Definitely.
history.
Definitely.
So
I
I,
love
I
that
watched that today for the first time. I was moved.
Oh my
when I saw
God.
that. You are absolutely right.
Was this like your first actual
first?
viewing
Yeah,
of?
first. I saw it. I
You
saw,
saw
it.
both of them?
Yeah, he's-
Yeah, I watched the
Jesus
first one.
Christ.
I watched the first one, and it ended at like 2:38, and then the movie I saw with Roy started at like 2:45. And so I just got my car and hauled ass over to the theater. And
I didn't watch the
jumped
second
right
one.
into the second
Man,
one. Yeah,
that is dedication.
it was great. It was actually a really great way to watch it. But
Yeah.
like you were saying, yeah.
I still think the first movie's more superior because it just felt like it had a more subtle approach to it. it felt almost more like an adventure in a sense, because there's kind of this cloud of mystery in a sense, because like Harrison Ford is like he's upset as his job and he's not really giving much detail at all, but you're still very like focused on what he's doing and what he's trying to accomplish, and you can tell that he hates what he does. And I love that you can feel that there's this self-hatred.
Like, I'm just tired of this crap.
Yeah, like and it's like, I really hate this. It isn't like I'm over this. It's like I hate my job.
Yeah.
Like, this is terrible work, you know? Like, this doesn't feel right, but he does it because like society tells him it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Where Ryan Gosling, it's kind of like he's almost programmed to do what he's doing.
He explicitly is. I mean, they say you know, in the beginning that I keep wanting to say Wayland, but that's Alien.
Yeah, that's Alien.
It's Wallace?
Wallace Corporation.
That the Wallace Corporation made them obey.
Yeah.
And that puts a really different spin on a lot of it, because, you know, the More Human Than Human was like the original one with the what's his name? Tyrell?
Tyrell.
With the Tyrell replicants, and then these ones are more like you said, more obviously slaves, more obviously like conscripted into doing what it is people want. So it does change the dynamic a little bit.
I think what they picked up is like in the first one they're dealing with the Nexus 6
the phones.
The Nexus so like that's the first one, but now they have like the I think in 2049 it's
Nexus 7.
Nexus 7 or 8, right? I think it's Nexus.
The 8s were the old models. The Nexus 8s were the old models. Those were the last of the Tyrell.
Right, with Tyrell, but now it's the Wallace.
And now the Wallace is like the Wallace is like just.
They would go down.
It's
like
it's just like Wallace 1 or something. It's like
I
their
see.
brand new.
They're
like
That's right. They were just recovering the Nexus 8s from the past.
Yeah, Dave Bautista played a Nexus 8 in like one of the very first scenes as the farmer.
Yeah. But Jonathan, let's get to your first impression.
Yeah, first impression. So as I was going through the movie, I was like, oh no, it's not going to be as good. It's not going to be as good. Because, mind you, like, Blade Runner, the first one was probably one of my favorite movies, like, of all time. Like, I loved it.
It's big shoes to fill.
It is, and I was afraid of just that. Like, I don't know if it will be able to continue on with that, like, a legacy, you know? But as I got towards the end of the movie, like, as we'll probably discuss, that end scene was just pivotal. Like, it just changed literally the whole movie for me. It made me, like... It put it like right up there with the first one. So my first impressions were kind of rocky at start, like to begin with, but it really.
Oh, you're talking about the end scene of the new one?
Of the new one, I love the end scene of the new one.
Oh.
Just when like
I didn't nearly feel as much.
How dare you?
We'll get into that.
We'll get into
spoilers.
I guess I'll get picked on that.
By the way, we're gonna I'm gonna have to be referencing back and forth with from the first movie because it's been a while.
Sure. I definitely love this movie. Like, I think after watching it, like the next couple of days, letting it digest, like, I just find it liking it more and more. Just like
it reminded me of when I was like, Baby Driver is actually a really good movie.
you did say that.
Andy's just like, wow. The more I think of it, I think that was a really good movie. I'm like, I don't feel that way.
Then you're like, I remember you saying that, like, wait, no, I appreciate it a lot. Like, you liked it more and more that you thought about it. And the same thing was like this Blade Runner 2049 one was just, the more I thought about it, like, the more I appreciated. Because, like, so, again, shout out to the director, Denis Villeneuve, I think is his name.
Villeneuve.
I guess I don't have any better shot than that name.
Denis
Villeneuve.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Villeneuve.
Yeah, so he also did the Arrival movie, which is amazing. He did Arrival, yeah. And,
I'll watch that movie again.
And that was a phenomenal story, just the way it was done. And so I feel like for following like the pacing and style that Ridley Scott did for the first one, this guy just like masterfully like continue it and caught the whole feeling, environment, of the first Blade Runner, which is why like I was like really blown away.
Was Ridley Scott a producer on it at all, or do you know?
For this one, he was a producer.
I would hope
Yeah.
so, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
he
got to be
definitely
involved
produced. I'm
somehow.
pretty sure he had to get involved for them somehow. But yeah, cool. Those are some. But that's cool first impressions. But all right, so let's get into spoilers because there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay, first question I want to ask.
Yeah.
So there's talk about Harrison Ford, right? Do you think he is a replicant or human?
Yeah, it's so funny that I was just
human.
gonna bring that up.
Yeah.
Who are you talking to?
You guys.
we could just yell out whatever you think.
that's,
7.
I think he's got to be a human.
I agree.
I actually don't know what the evidence is for him being a replicant, to be honest.
I think all it is Jared Leto says, oh, were you programmed to feel that way? But I thought that was more of like an allegory for like love being a biological.
Yeah,
reaction.
isn't Jared Leto kind of talking about that? Like how
that's what I thought it was,
Yeah.
but I that's the only evidence I can think of.
Right. I think this is the thing. Like I've heard, other people. I watched other reviews on the movie, and like I didn't catch it, but like in the Blade Runner, the first one, Final Cut, the one he's escaping with Rachel. Like they're, how like in the first one you see like the eyes kind of that you kind of can see that in Harrison Ford, in, like in one of the last shots.
But it's not.
Yeah, so it's subtle. So people are arguing.
Maybe
so,
it's just like Fry from Futurama, where he has some weird gene, so it makes him like able to like reproduce with this new human. It's kind of like just like how in some movies some people are resistant to the zombie genes. Maybe Harrison Ford is just unique enough by
I don't even think it's Harrison Ford being unique enough. I think it's
her.
I think it's all Rachel because she was the special prototype, the one of a kind. That
I don't
that
actually
Tyrell-
remember that.
Yeah, so
The
that
big
was
thing
the
about
main-
when they first meet in the first one, she is kind of pushed forward as like, oh, she's like totally unique. She's like the first one to have like an unlocked lifespan and all this other stuff.
Or she has a normal human lifespan or unlimited lifespan?
Like normal human lifespan.
Okay.
It's just like unlocked.
I
Like it
thought
wasn't the 4-year limit.
Rachel
like,
wasn't even aware that she was a replicant.
She wasn't.
She wasn't,
No,
right?
she wasn't.
Yeah, so that was like
implanted
the whole...
memories and everything.
Yeah, she was like the first one with implanted memories and like all that stuff, and like and she wasn't even like a Nexus 8 or like a Nexus 7.
It was just
she was
a whole
just
different brand.
prototype.
Yeah.
That's what she was.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so she was like, this whole brand new project, and the last thing that Tyrell made before he was killed in the last one. So that I think it was just all her. I don't think it matters if it wasn't like if they made like a fertile male one or or like something like that. But I think it's just she was essentially fully human.
Like, I mean, could it just be kind of like a metaphor for like love can create beautiful
Life
things
finds a
in a
way,
thing?
yeah.
Yeah, it's like Harrison Ford and Rachel like actually did like love each other and they were able to create something out of that love, which I mean was a baby, of course, but I'm just saying like
I think there's definitely symbolism supporting that.
I think there's a shit ton of symbolism
Yeah.
in the old movie for sure.
Right, I think this also is kind of rooted in a physical, like she is different.
Yeah, like biological.
Just almost giving that like intangible love a more tangible kind of go at it.
My thing is like I feel like making Harrison Ford a replicant at the end kind of makes the end of the second movie even more meaningful because you have two things that aren't supposed to be human at all kind of creating life. So then it gives you a whole different definition of like what really is life.
Yeah.
So that's why I always kind of felt like even before watching this movie.
Would you prefer? You think you would prefer with Harrison Ford, like just like on a personal level, like?
Yeah, I would.
Really?
For me, that would be like a good ending for me, like for just off of the first one.
Just him being a replicant.
Yeah, and then continuing on.
Because I mean, if you could tell, like a lot of the cops when he reacted in the first one, like they were cold to him. They were really cold to him, like and treated him like shit. Just like in this one, they like did not treat Ryan Gosling well. Like they just.
I think it was because Harrison Ford wanted to like quit.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Is
Right,
he did quit and was like because
And they, like, needed him
He
'cause
said
he's, like, the best or
he basically said fuck this job
Yeah.
and quit. And I, you know,
I thought that's why they didn't like
if
him.
I was working at Five Guys and I said "fuck this job"
Yeah.
and left, and then they're like, "We need you back," I'm pretty sure no one would be looking at me like.
And so that's the thing though, like, because again, like in this movie, the main premise is that apparently like a replicant had a child, and so
Yeah.
what's it called? God, I keep forgetting. Kay, his character, is on this mission to find that child and solve, go through each thing to figure out where the child's hiding.
Well, and I think, can I bring up a point really quick?
Sure.
I thought it was pretty funny, like how at least it felt like the movie tried to confuse me. I don't know about you guys, but they kept on saying the child,
Sure.
even though this child is technically like 30 years old at this point.
Yeah.
They keep repeating the child, and like even though like in the very beginning I knew it was like supposed to be like a 30-year-old, at some point in time I was like, oh yeah, I forgot they're looking for a kid, and then I like have to be like, wait, no, they're looking for someone. And yeah, I know this is gonna bring on some points later, but yeah, keep on going.
Yeah. So then we have. So there we're going down, and we have Jared Leto's character, he plays Wallace, and that's who I think is a very like interesting character because his thing is he wants to do what Tyrell did and to have replicants procreate because he thinks they're going to be the superior species and be able to go to other planets and expand.
No,
You know,
clearly
I
are.
thought-
I thought he was saying that he wanted a disposable workforce and his ambitions needed more hands.
Yeah.
He's like, we need more slaves.
and
That's
more,
what I-
but,
and
yeah,
if
more
they
slaves
can
to
procreate.
expand, and they need to procreate. So he's
But
trying.
not like, I didn't think he was touting them as like a superior being to humans. He was just saying like they can propel us to the stars as humans.
I think it was really ambiguous because he was very himself like very robotic like and very
What
replicant
was
like.
his deal? Yeah, he
He probably had
some,
like
cyber
modifications.
Yeah,
Yeah, because was it me or was he blind? Like,
but he had those like floating cameras everywhere around him,
and that's how
like,
he saw though. That's what I thought. But
that's how I looked at it as well.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was a replicant.
yeah,
personally.
and which would make sense why he wants them to replicate or
Yeah.
replicate.
So his goal is that's kind of why we see like that firstborn replicant or that replicant that's born.
Yeah,
the
woman.
Yeah, the woman, and he wants to be able to do what Tyrell did, which is like what that prototype Rachel did was to be able to give birth. So he's trying to figure that out so he can expand replicants in that sense, which is why he wants to find the child and study
Unlock
like what
that
are bones
secret.
and unlock every single thing down to like the last cell. So I kind of find that interesting, which is kind of like why I go back to like, well, whether like if Harrison Ford's character was a replicant, two replicants can have a child now, and he wants to figure that out, or if like an actual human and a replicant can have, have a child. So like that's how it goes back to
Maybe
that.
that's like just the beauty of it. If either way you shape it, it's still this miracle where you're like, what is humanity then?
Yeah, I think that's kind of a big theme. I think it's a big pro as to why Harrison Ford would be human. Because first of all, it kind of
because you have like a mixture of both.
Well, yeah. What is like the true human? What is it to be human? If he's human and she's replicant and like their love is real and they have like and they create life together.
Yeah.
Where's the line?
Yeah.
There is no line at that point. So it's it's definitely a lot to think about. But
I love that.
There's just so much depth to this movie, which makes me like appreciate it. Just even to like set pieces that were made for it, like it kept the environment captured so well.
I want to talk about that. Like just after watching the first one and then going right into the second one, the aesthetics and the technology that they had, it really did feel like the same world carried over, but with a natural progression of 30 years.
That is
like
so funny you mentioned that. I was thinking
like
the exact same.
Yeah, they had like the screens and stuff, but in the new one, they had like the same kind of shapes and forms, but just kind of more modern looking.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a really nice, just like set piece and design choice to like how they move forward with that.
Like even to like the weather, like how it's dark, wet.
Everything's
Yeah.
crowded. Everything's shouted and or clouded.
Everything's shit.
Everything's still dirty.
So, but I want to go back to the topic of like now to Ryan Gosling's character about like purpose and like he wants to have a purpose and a soul.
And yeah, I think we should establish real quick that it is known from very early in the film that Ryan Gosling is one of the new replicants.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the
Wallace
Wallace.
made.
Yeah,
And he's a Blade Runner.
and he's a Blade Runner.
Yeah, he's a Blade
He's a
Runner.
Blade Runner.
Yeah, but for example, like I bought when I saw that like scene where he walks when he gets home, right? I bought that scene where like I thought we were gonna see like a real like partner, where she was like, yeah, just making dinner or like doing this and that, and I'm like, oh.
Oh,
When you hear the voice, but you don't know where it's coming
exactly. And so
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, cool. He has a partner. But all of a sudden, like, it's this, program that he got.
It's,
from. Artificial
It's-
intelligence, but it's
more
a
of a hologram.
projection.
it's a projection, yeah. And
I had a feeling that something was up because she was talking so much, always in the background, like
Yeah.
too many times. It was like 4 or 5 times. It just kept going. And I was like, something is going on. I didn't know exactly what it was at all, but
I thought it was going to be like Alexa or something like
Yeah.
which it pretty much is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
So-
what was the movie with Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson?
Her.
Yeah, reminded that was kind of a really similar.
One of
thing
us
there.
mentioned
Yeah.
it.
but even that, like, there, again, like, I just kind of think about that whole relationship because, that it felt real. And I feel like to Ryan Gosling's character, like, he wanted to feel something.
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of felt like actual real love.
Yeah.
But later in the movie, now that we're in spoilers, like you see that like he runs into like this big projection of this girl after she unfortunately is killed, and that like she was programmed being sold, to fulfill that kind of like.
yeah, I mean, they give some hints that
Yeah, it was
that's
pretty-
the case already.
It was pretty clear about that.
Her name's Joy, and I think
Yeah.
her name's Joy like everywhere. Like
Yeah,
you don't get to customize her name. She's played by Ana de Armas. She's fucking beautiful.
It is.
And
She reminded me.
She's in War Dogs.
really good job. In the
Yeah, she
role.
was in War Dogs. Right? Yeah, I remember her.
What's funny is I drank a large soda in the theater, and that was the one scene I had to leave the theater to go.
That was a pretty good scene.
Yeah, but so for me, I went through the whole film thinking like their love was real and drawing this kind of interesting parallel between, because there's Harrison Ford and the Replicant,
Yeah.
organic,
Rachel.
totally organic, mostly artificial. And then the Replicant and the AI hologram,
Yeah.
and that's like kind of
It
like a
definitely
weird,
is.
Just
They,
another
like,
layer of
parallel.
Deckard to Rachel is Kay to Joy, and it was a really interesting parallel. And for me, I didn't see the whole scene that kind of
Yeah, this is the way that it was.
Underlined
Yeah,
love
like the
there.
way that it was led up, right? Like by this time, right, Ryan Gosling's character took her, on his mission, and then he runs into Harrison Ford, and then she gets killed in that whole part while they're trying to while they get captured, and you see the advertising for her, and the thing in the beginning of the movie, she's like, oh, I want to give you a name, I want to call you Joe, right?
once he finds out
Yeah.
once he finds out that he's been born,
Yeah, he wants to
Or
find so
thinks he has.
he thinks he's born, right? So oh man, that'd be a good person name.
Uh-huh.
But then when you see this advertisement of Joy, it's like, oh yeah, you look like you can use somebody, and then that person, that advertisement calls him Joe, and it's like, oh, it just felt
Part of me
it felt fake.
Part of me
in a sense.
wants to think that was as Jared Leto was speaking earlier, or Wallace was speaking earlier about, maybe you were programmed to fall in love, and that there's something mathematical about it. Part of me wants to believe that is some kind of a remnant of with the joy that Ryan Gosling had with him the whole time, that was just something about her that she would have done and didn't make it any less authentic. But at the same time, I wish I'd seen that scene, because I really do feel like that's me
that was
trying
just-
to be
yeah.
trying to want the scene to go better for him, because that was such a down point for him.
For sure. Well, and then so the whole premise is that they say that there's a child, right? And so he goes looking for it, and I actually it confused me because I'm like, no, because the movie made it seem like he was the child, he was the special child.
Yeah, they figured it
Yeah.
out
Did
pretty
you?
well.
Yeah, and did
That's
you
the
guys?
twist.
Did you guys fell for that? Did you guys believe?
Yeah,
that?
I fell for that pretty easily. I think there was a part of me at one point who was like, "Oh, he's not a child," and then I'm like, he's got to be the child. You know, it's like, why are we following him otherwise?
For sure.
I definitely, for a good majority of the movie, I was like, oh yeah, he's definitely a child. Like I picked up on that almost immediately. But then it really threw me off when he met with the Dream Maker. The actual spoilers. The actual child. That one was like, wait, when she said what was it?
That memory is.
She gives the best memories
Someone
to
lived this, right? Like,
Yeah.
something along that thing. I don't remember, but yeah, that's when I was like starting to question. But I wasn't pinpointing it to her though. I was still like, wait, what's happening now? That's when I got lost.
Yeah, and so then that's funny because like in that particular part, she's like that memory is real. Like you know, that was lived.
And it's like, how would she know
I was really
if that was
weirded
someone
out.
else's memory?
Right,
Like,
right, exactly.
Well, she talked
Yeah.
about how you can identify different things. She said it's not, people think it's in the details, but it's not. It's in the chaos or something like that. Because like real memories are not
Jumbled.
like super detailed. Yeah. And then I didn't figure it out that she was the kid or whatever, but like until after that. But I thought it was a little weird how emotional she reacted. Like how emotional she was.
Because she just
like,
started
Yeah.
bawling. Right?
Yeah.
And it's almost obvious when you think back on it because she's
Yeah.
even saying right then that the art, like you know, the best memory, like in addition to being chaotic, like that the creators, the best creators leave like their signature on a memory,
Yeah.
and that was just straight up her memory,
Yeah.
like from her like time in the orphanage.
Yeah, they did the whole thing where a little girl looks like a little boy.
Yeah.
Hair-
That whole
Yeah,
trick.
Damn it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
God, what a great movie.
Bamboozled
That trick.
again.
I was really like I anticipated something different to happen. I kind of knew that like I knew he wanted to feel special, but that he wasn't. So
Yeah.
then I was waiting for that because you were just waiting for that scene where like where Ryan Gosling wanted to call Harrison Ford like Dad.
Yeah.
You were waiting for that
Yeah.
scene to happen.
Like I feel like when it started off, the whole like child like there's like, oh, a child was born, and I was like, oh, they're gonna. I was thinking in the theater, I was like, oh, they want you to think it's Ryan Gosling. It's not gonna be Ryan Gosling. But then they started like, the memories. He found the horse. Like, oh my god, it's Ryan Gosling.
Right.
And then like I started off like not believing it. Then I believed it, and then it was like they wrote it. And I was like, oh no, you're right. Like it's totally not
I
him.
was right. Thanks.
It was just funny because, like, again, you have the Joy program, like, feeding you the assurance, like, see, right, you are
see,
special.
I was 100% convinced. I had like thrown that he wasn't the child out the window. I was like, yeah, nope, he is the kid, and then was just totally proven wrong.
It didn't help too when they analyzed that DNA that it's explicitly said like, oh, there was twins, but one of them died.
That was just to throw you off.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
you're just like,
How
yeah,
we're
well,
supposed to think the stuff we see is true. We're supposed to assume that this stuff is fake. What the heck?
But I mean,
That was
and
good,
again,
though.
that was good, and like, yeah, Harrison Ford Deckard's character is like, yeah, we had to go back and like change certain stuff.
Scrambled channels.
Yeah.
but going back to it now, like in the lens of like, well, duh, like stuff that kind of ruined it. When Ryan Gosling is actually having like that whole I just want to call you father kind of thing, he never even acknowledges him like a son or anything. Like he never.
Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford never like really. He talks to Ryan Gosling, to KJ, whatever his name
Yeah,
is.
it's K.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's never in a fatherly way or like, oh, son. How are you part of this whole conspiracy thing of you hiding a child and not recognize this random person happens to find you and not piece that together like, oh, this could be my son kind of thing.
But I think it's because he knows he had a daughter.
Yeah, he knew he
Yeah.
had a daughter.
But I'm
Yeah.
just saying, before we're even giving all that, like that,
Just
That's-
as like a sign that it's not.
Yeah.
it should have been obvious, like he wasn't,
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's,
Yeah, and even
you're
he
saying that
thinks-
there's
he
subtle
thinks he's a cop.
hints that it wasn't
Right.
that it wasn't Ryan Gosling the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wouldn't have, if he had an inkling that it could have been his child, right? He wouldn't have shot at.
at all.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I didn't
was-
think about that until now.
When I was in the theater, I was
Yeah.
like, God damn, he's trying to kill his kid. He's gonna kill his kid.
Can we go a little bit
Yeah.
into that? Like, how amazing was that? Like that fight scene between
Oh,
Harrison
great.
Ford and Ryan Gosling, just
It was
like the
good.
lighting and like the core,
Oh,
like
just the whole
that whole
like
the
Oh,
hologram,
like Elvis and stuff.
yeah,
coming
the whole
up.
hologram
I mean,
scene, like this.
yeah.
I just thought that was
I
beautifully done.
really enjoyed the choking to death of the villain.
Oh,
while
Yeah.
while Harrison Ford is simultaneously
While
almost
drowning.
drowning.
Of Love, right? Is that
yeah.
her name?
Who's
Yeah,
that
love.
played by?
Yeah, her
Yeah,
name's Love.
Sylvia Hoeks.
Sylvia Hoek. She was great.
She's from Love?
She was great.
No, her name's
her name is
Love.
Love, who works for
Yeah,
that's right.
for Wallace.
She did a great job.
Yeah.
She, like this very
Spectacular.
stoic kind of secretary type, and then she ends up being this crazy badass out of nowhere. It's like,
but like
she had special treatment.
Yeah,
So.
I absolutely loved her character just because it was so well portrayed. Like, just she caught me totally off guard. I would never.
And let's give
Expected that.
Robin Wright a shout out too.
Yeah,
because I
dude.
loved her character as well.
That's right.
Jenny.
Very
The chief, right? What's her name? The
Yeah, she was the K's boss.
yeah.
She did
Yes.
play Jenny.
Oh my
That's why
God.
he made that reference.
yeah, no, that's what threw me off. I did not realize that. Yeah.
Princess Buttercup.
Yeah, no, that one I
Okay.
get, but yeah, no, she's
Jenny.
she's great. She's
Jenny.
great. I loved her in House of Cards. Loved her in
Forrest Gump.
Yeah, right. Yeah. now I do.
Now I love her because now I know. Yeah, the House of Cards was
Yeah,
great.
she's been, I love how she's been giving all these badass roles from like the Wonder Woman.
That's
and
right.
She plays a good character in House of Cards.
I
And
feel like
this.
House of Cards kind of got her back in the game.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I would
Yeah.
definitely agree with that.
Um,
I'm just sad that they like killed her off though. And
I felt like it was a good death though.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, it was.
yeah.
I was
They always
She was
You need to kill
dignified.
someone that you're like attached to, kind of. I mean, they didn't kill off Harrison Ford. I totally thought he was gonna die like the whole time, but
Yeah,
he
pretty
lives
good.
longer than Ryan Gosling. So
Maybe.
I was convinced
Yeah, I guess.
Ryan Gosling was gonna kill him. Was gonna
Oh, yeah.
do what the underground resistance said, because they said don't. They said kill Deckard because he's gonna leak information about where we are, and we can't have that if we want the uprising to go to plan. And lo and behold, he makes out of there with a live Harrison Ford and a dead bad guy in it, and a dead Ryan Gosling.
Because I think at that point, his character's like, you know what, fuck it, I want my life to mean something, and if I can make
Yeah.
this mean, like, someone's life mean something like that I helped with, like, that gives me purpose.
And I think, part of it is he's so personally connected to it. You know,
Yeah.
he's the decoy. He's essentially like the girl's brother in a sense. Like he was created to be her decoy counterpart. So it's he's not totally uninvolved from the situation. Having thought of himself as kind of the hero or like the lost child going to be reunited, it seemed right that he would kind of pour himself into mending this whole affair at the end of it.
Right.
He definitely has a soul.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
I really love the part where Love kills his boss lady
you really love love.
because
Yeah.
yeah, she's awesome.
Every scene. Is,
But
Love.
I like that when she was holding when she crushed the glass in her hand or whatever, and she gave her nothing, no satisfaction, no pain. Like she didn't react at all. Like she was holding in her pain because she didn't want her
Robin Wright.
yeah. She was just standing there do what you gotta do. Like she knew.
Yeah.
That
That
scene
was
so
such
brutal.
a
Yeah.
The
badass
crunch
scene.
made me cringe each time. Oh
It
shit!
was such a good scene.
Yeah.
And then when he's just when she kills her, the tear you see on her face, the Love's face.
Yeah.
That's
So is
all
that? I want to talk about that real quick.
This has been throwing me off for a bit, so I want to get your guys' input as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So you have the Ryan Gosling character who has this sense of I guess right and wrong, and has this logic, right? And then you also have Love, which kind of she shows obviously that logic and that reason as well, but yet she's still going through with what Wallace is saying. So I'm what's the how is that? What's the difference between them?
Yeah, and it's interesting given the whole. They must obey kind of robotic law in there as well. I feel like she has that sense of right or wrong, but she is forced to do Wallace's bidding, and by any means necessary.
But then what's the difference between
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling's character? He's forced to do the police's bidding, is he not?
Well, Is Ryan Gosling a Wallace replicant? Let's talk about that real quick.
I thought he was.
Yeah.
Well,
the
he
new
was
one.
he was made to look like it, because he was supposed to be, he was the decoy,
That's right.
and he was made at the time of the kid's birth, you know, and like he was supposed to be like a kid, and then like
Did they ever talk about who made the decoys or whatever?
Just the underground society or something, right?
I thought he was the other kid with the identical genome.
No. It's just assumed he was made somehow, like during the time where there was a blackout and no records were kept.
Yeah, and like that was the whole decoy thing.
That makes sense.
Like,
But-
so that's kind of a question I'm proposing, because like I'm not 100% sure on that theory.
So is he a copy of the DNA or whatever, but male?
Yeah.
I don't think they never explicitly confirmed that, though,
Yeah.
right?
Well, he had the memories, and you know.
That's because she made.
Yeah,
They
she
implanted
she
them,
put it
but-
in him.
Yeah.
Do you think that was just a coincidence?
What do you mean, the memories?
Yeah.
She
No,
put him. She made his memories.
Yeah, but she's not part of the resistance. She's totally ignorant to all that.
So wait, what do these memories have to do with the resistance?
I thought he was the decoy that was made to keep them from finding her.
Now that I think about it, like that we're kind of going over, it doesn't seem like he's a decoy then.
Yeah.
I think he's. I don't.
You
I
think
think
it's
it's
just
coincidence.
coincidence and
I think it's
circumstance?
just weird logic that we get him. I mean, this. I guess I kind of want to talk about this now.
Yeah,
but
I think we should.
a big reason why I like the older movie over this one is because I felt like it was more about how we look at other people. You know, Harrison Ford is
Yeah.
disgusted at how, you know, they treat these replicants, and obviously he thinks of them as people or equals, whatever. But this movie's more about self-discovery, because Ryan Gosling, he's just kind of like this robot going through this routine, and then he kind of gets shown this light, right? And then his mind starts to open up and starts to question things. Like he starts to choose his own path. How you guys were talking about, like, Joy, why is she so vigilant with Jared Leto's character?
No.
Oh, you mean
Like
love?
that's, yeah, love.
Yeah.
Like that's her choice. She's making a choice to be this protector of Wallace in a sense.
But then I kind of see like that contradiction, because if she really was making that choice to defend Wallace, she wouldn't have shed any tears at all when she had to kill the Robin Wright's character. It seemed like she understood.
I
Like,
thought she was crying because she was so upset that she was that much farther away
No, I mean
from
she,
being
she was like clearly terrified when he was like looking at the newborn replicant, and like one of his like weird floating robot eyes was like right here on her, like right next. She was like shaking in her boots and like cried when he killed the replicant. I mean, there were a lot of times where she was like crying.
Yeah, but
That's
she's
right.
making choices out of fear, is I guess what I'm saying.
But I mean,
but is it out of fear, or is it like this programming kind of thing?
I kind of thought the whole thing was that she didn't have a choice, and that's what the whole Wallace, they were forced to obey.
Oh, that
Kind
makes
of
sense.
stipulation
She still
at the
has
beginning
morality,
was-
but he's told her to do these horrible things, and she's has to do them. But she still,
She has no control over it.
She still has.
Then why
emotions.
isn't Ryan Gosling following the same orders?
Because I thought he was a like pre-gen decoy.
I don't
one.
think he is.
Yeah, that
He
just begs the
does
question,
he,
like, what
does
is...
he actually disobey? I mean, like,
Yes, he totally
Yeah,
does.
he
One,
lies,
like,
he
supposed
lies to the
to-
captain.
Yeah,
He lies to
exactly.
the captain, he's supposed to kill
well, then
the
does
child.
that tell us?
He's
Does
supposed
that
to
tell
kill-
us that he is the old model then?
No, I don't think he is. I mean,
But then how does he have the capacity to do that? I'm not like I'm
Because
just
she
trying
can't.
to figure
If
it
love
out.
Yeah.
can't at all.
okay, first
like,
of all these robots are like rising up against Jared Leto.
Yeah.
Like, why would they? They're all his models. Like, they all have a choice here. There isn't. Joy, or so not Joy.
Where's all the
Love
love?
is out of fear protecting Jared Leto, or sorry, Wallace, because she's absolutely afraid of him.
I
They're,
mean, I'm just going off like they literally said in the beginning they were made to obey.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Sure.
these new models,
And
were
that's why
better.
they're
but
better.
they
Like-
aren't.
like. So it's just a lie. Like the exposition at the beginning was just a lie.
They were made to obey. That doesn't mean it. Like it just. It's kind of like toy soldiers. They were made to be toys, but they end up attacking everything. You know, it's.
But it doesn't. But that was the problem with the first ones, and he fixed it by making them obey. And it doesn't. I don't think it shows any of them disobey. like any of the new models
It's like,
disobeyed.
the whole thing was like Tyrell's foundation collapsed because they kept rebelling.
Yeah.
Right.
And that they acquired the Tyrell company and improved upon it to make them obey, and now they're like totally reintegrated into society.
Sure, but they still have some sort of morality. Like they're still trying to they're trying to rise up against. Like you can. I guess what I'm trying to say is, no matter how hard you try, you cannot you cannot strip away someone's freedom. Like that everyone urges for freedom. Everyone urges for individuality.
But all those people at the end that were like responsible for part of the like setting up the hiding of the child or whatever, those are all old.
Those are old models,
Nexus,
yeah.
Nexus 8s.
The replicants that didn't get caught.
There
Essentially.
weren't actually a lot of like. We didn't get to experience a ton of the new models, right? Besides like the henchmen, like dudes that we don't get to interact with, and
all the
and
people
love,
that died.
Love.
right? And
Yeah.
Oh, I'm confused
Yeah,
now.
I guess not.
Those are all Nexus 8s?
They said that in the beginning. They said there were a lot of Nexus 8s that like escaped capture
Yeah.
and were still roaming around
The
Why weren't they
prostitutes, I
dead?
guess.
because the Nexus 8s didn't have the 4-year lifespan. The 4-year lifespan ended with the Nexus 6s.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wasn't Rachel a Nexus 7 or 8?
No, she was like a unique prototype
Yeah.
that came before like the Tyrell company
Shoot,
didn't
okay.
die with Tyrell. They continued to produce robots, but the last robot that Tyrell made was the one that could reproduce, which was Rachel.
Okay, and that's what's driving Jared a little crazy.
Yeah,
Wallace.
like, he
He's like,
can't
I want to
achieve
perfect
that.
it
Yeah,
and create procreation.
I think it's. I'm gonna have to watch it again.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
this is
The more
exactly
I
why-
talk about
yeah.
it, the less I feel like I completely understand.
Yeah,
Now,
it's so
It led you in
crazy.
so many different directions and like little subtle things. Again, just that you can miss something and learn.
Though I do think you do a point there because they do talk about the evolution of their, of the replicants, whether that's spiritually or metaphorically. Maybe it really is like they're bypassing, their like obey code.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you guys are almost thinking about it as like they're computers. I guess that's like
Yeah.
they're not, right? They're
No,
actually
because they're
fleshing-
AI. Yeah, they're AI, so they can think, they can learn, and like they are growing in that sense, which is why they do the interrogation interview.
Do you think,
to
you
keep
think
them- to
that's
keep
what
them-
the obey thing is? That they just
to make sure that they're still obeying, because like how he would repeat certain phrases
yeah.
after it is to make sure that they were at baseline.
I thought it was
the
like
whole-
to judge their like maybe like tiny tremors in your voice, like to see if they're getting an emotional response from these things that
Yeah.
sound like they're geared to elicit some kind of emotional response in a normal person. The things they're saying are kind of like talking about love and then talking about like connection and
Well, that was like the whole thing in the first one too. That they
Exactly.
they would say those things and they could measure the differences.
Exactly.
like when they would do like the one-on-one interviews. Is that what you're talking
Yeah.
about?
So I mean, do you think it's just like
so that's
it's
kind
essentially the exact same thing?
yeah, like
but-
you keep as you grow, you are familiar with the emotions because of how they are created, right? So they learn. And they're like, oh wait, like I feel all these things, and if they're not kept in like a certain balance, they're like, I want to keep growing, like and like the more you want to feel, the more you want to like.
So that
Yeah,
means
no,
they
no,
have
I
the
mean-
chance to get out of this realm of being controlled, then, right?
Apparently, it seems
I
like
mean, it's just the
going towards
thing that
that.
was just throwing me off the most was the phrasing at the beginning when they said they were made to obey, like they were designed to. Like I mean, they were designed to start off as adults. They were designed to originally live 4 years. They were designed, all these kind of design things. Like they have serial numbers on them and stuff. And
Right.
I know they're pretty much they're.
I mean,
essentially
I
humans.
felt like it was just metaphorically just like slaves in the past, It's like people were bred to be slaves, but yet they craved something else. They craved
Yeah.
something larger.
I thought
and
this was
got-
different because they did the whole redesign, like to fix the initial problem of the first ones that actually had free will or whatever.
I think you can almost interpret it either way now. I mean,
Maybe that's why
Within
this
the-
movie has so much praise.
Yeah.
Like-
Okay,
within
I got-
within the
maybe.
context
Okay.
of like robots.
I got
it
an
feels
idea
like
then.
Create,
We're gonna
like
just let
construction.
this keep rolling. Let's
Yeah.
go to the theater real quick. We'll be back in 2 hours and 45 minutes, and then we'll rediscuss this.
This is a little bit interesting. Is like so now I'm thinking the Tyrell Corp, they figured out how to make a robot or whatever a replicant reproduce, right?
Right.
But and then Wallace, the new corporation, wants to figure that out, but they know how to make him obey, right? that was a problem with the first generation. They wouldn't obey, and they caused trouble
free
or
will.
whatever.
Yeah.
But doesn't
One
that
of their
seem
free
counterintuitive?
will.
Like if the first dude could figure out how to make them reproduce, but he couldn't figure out how to make them obey, that seems way more of an easier thing. I don't know, but like it just makes me think that maybe Tyrell Corp didn't want them to obey, wanted them to have free
Well,
will.
their whole slogan was more human than human. You know, like they wanted, like, I mean, that was kind of their deal, was to give them
Which-
free will and.
Kind of more even to like it supports the like maybe Wallace is an android himself or.
I thought he was like a replicant
I thought
the
it was
whole
replicant.
time.
He's
I
at
was
least
you,
half
Pat.
replicant.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah,
I thought he was a replicant. Who was made to make more replicants. Like I thought.
It seems like it,
Yeah.
it really does.
I feel like he's a person, but
With,
he
like-
also tried his own shit on himself.
That's kind of
And he has a lot of he has a lot of
like,
biomechanical
he's got, like,
parts,
yeah,
like
like
his eyes and shit.
replicate.
I have like a
the USB jacks and.
I want like a clarifying like I'm not understanding if replicants would you say are more AI or Android?
I think I mean they literally dug up the bones of another replicant. I
Yes.
think it's like
That makes me say like it's more Android than AI.
Yeah.
It's weird, yeah. It's got to be their brain has to be different, right? Their brain
Mm-hmm.
is some kind of like mechanical.
well,
Nothing's
I mean,
mechanical. It's just they're just made.
Yeah, it's more. It's still
Yeah.
organic.
They're not like born. They're just a made person.
But I mean,
How are they
then again, it's
controlling
not like
their-
they're grown, you know. But it's like they're. I mean, you literally see them being like assembled with machines at
Yeah.
one point in the film,
They come out
So-
of like a.
and then they come out of like the Ziploc, and like
Matrix all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's interesting, but yeah, I feel like the deeper we dig into it, the more questions are raised.
Right. There's just again just so many themes and like how deep this can go. Like.
Mm-hmm.
Again, maybe because I'm a romantic or whatever. I keep going back to like whether questioning that like whether Ryan Gosling's character and Joy was like was that real love,
I think
Yeah.
it totally was for sure.
and then like what does that say about
Between
love?
Ryan Gosling and the AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what does that say about love? That can just be a program to just give.
I
what
love
you-
my
what you-
dog. Some people love their plants. Some people
I
love
like-
inanimate objects.
Well, I
just
guess
when you
guess
say that, I really-
reciprocal
Wait,
love.
hold on. What were you gonna say,
Oh,
Royce?
I was gonna say I really like that when you brought that up because when the real woman is next to him, he really doesn't care much about her. Like he's looking at this fake woman that he's fallen in love with that he cares about way more than this
Yeah.
random girl, and he's only okay with it because she's okay with it, and they like meld
Merge,
together
yeah.
so that their movements are matched or whatever.
And mind you, the lady who the prostitute, whatever, it seemed like she had done this before. So like that's even speaking to like this is a common thing.
Yeah.
So maybe
Interesting.
these Joy robots or whatever they are, they've transcended this or something like that.
Huh.
Their own programming. But I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Oh
No,
Yeah,
that was a good tangent.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other thoughts or points?
Lots of thoughts, just can't articulate.
Too many
I mean,
Too many
did any of
thoughts.
you guys have any negative points about the movie?
Yeah, give me a minute to think about that. If you guys want to go around.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I just I'm still like in awe of like the atmosphere and like the whole journey that this has taken us on.
I think I don't know if it's a plot hole or I just am not understanding, but the dream maker, what her role is. How is it that she was making dreams for these android or these replicants, these memories, but Wallace didn't know that she was like this the child born from replicants.
I thought they kind of like made it apparent that she was a well-kept secret. That's what I.
They
got out of it.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's under
like,
the guise that she has an
there
immunity
was
disorder.
multiple people like Batista, Harrison Ford,
Mm-hmm.
the
One-eyed lady.
the one-eyed lady
Yeah. I
mean,
that
they're
I
like
don't even know
that
that has
whole
a
gang,
that whole
name.
rap sheet of people.
Yeah,
that they-
all
yeah.
those
It's like
people.
the underground society
Yeah,
people.
I want to say almost like a good chunk of them had some
It was a super
input.
elaborate.
They did a
cover-up,
part on
right?
it.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a very huge cover up.
So
Well,
then,
and, like,
she
That's why-
really
that's why we
doesn't
go
make.
that's why we go to the orphanage, because when the whole blackout
Yeah.
scene, we go all the way to there to like find out that like that
I want to
memory
say she was
real.
hidden at the orphanage first, and she was then adopted by rich people,
Uh-huh.
and
It
then
was,
they're
it
like,
was, yeah, it was. I mean, it was.
And that's how
Even-
she's working for Wallace, or she's not
she's
working.
not, she's independent. She
She's-
says
She
That's
almost tried
right.
to buy her out,
Yeah.
and she said no.
She kept saying no. That's
Yeah.
right, but
she does work for him, but she's not. She works for other people other than Wallace.
So he's not,
Okay.
she's not owned. It's like
Yeah.
it's like she's like kind of I guess freelance.
even-
Is that
yeah.
how you would say? That's how you
That's
say
a
it.
good-
Even in the orphanage, when Kay is looking back at the records, it says she died at the orphanage.
Yeah.
So like I mean, and then she was abandoned by her parents. So there's kind of like this, her one identity ends, another fake one begins, and she's kind of hidden beneath multiple layers and all that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was pretty solid to say, hey, you have an immune disease, so you gotta stay in this bubble, which is a great way to like
Yeah,
keep her in one
Contained.
place.
She doesn't have the immune disease, right? That's
No,
just a,
it's
that's
a
just
whole.
that's-
like,
yeah,
probably-
covered.
yeah.
it's
That's
probably
how I
covered.
feel. I feel that's
My question is, does she know?
I think at the end of the movie she knew.
Is she
But like throughout the whole thing, I don't think so.
throughout
she
her
seemed-
life in the dome?
She seemed totally oblivious when even he came.
Why is she
Yeah.
crying if she implanted that that memory into him?
because it was a sad memory for her.
Because it was
I
because she
guess.
knew it was a real memory, and I think she knew that it was her memory, but
Yeah.
and not like his, which is why she like.
She
felt
made
it.
him, but she's made she's made a bunch of robots.
she's the
It's not
best
like
there
she's
is. Like she is.
like it's not a child to her. It's just a
Yeah.
work
Commission.
project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're
And
saying
it's a memory. It doesn't even need to be like sorry.
So
super
she knows that that's
factual, or-
against the law to put real memories into people. She said that, and so she
See, that-
put that memory into him, but she doesn't know why, or
my
someone told her to do that, or
I was under the impression that she wasn't the one who put the memory in him.
Yeah, that's kind of
Oh,
what I was
so they
thinking.
could take her
I
memories.
thought, that
and
someone designed. I mean,
however
she looked at his memory and saw it. Like if that's just like,
Yeah.
oh, just sit
Because
there
we
and
were
do
just
it.
given the information that was a real
Okay.
memory. We weren't given
Yeah.
that was hers, but that was a real memory from somebody.
Yeah.
So then, was she the one in charge of putting the memories in Ryan Gosling or not?
She
and
was
are
just
we-
in charge of making
and
it.
Ryan
Just
Gosling
making
is
them,
just
yeah.
the tool to help find her
Yeah.
afterwards,
Pretty much.
and that's why the memories implanted in him.
Yeah.
So
That's
he'll
why I
investigate
thought
it,
he
and
was like the decoy or something.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's
but
why.
he doesn't really. It
But
only
he's
it only
not- but
convinces
he's not
him. It
really-
only convinces him that he's the kid, right? The
Yeah,
child.
but I mean that
doesn't
would be
no
that would be
evidence leads
evidence if
to
someone
other
found
people
him.
thinking
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
he's the kid. Only he would believe it, and then I don't know. If there was other evidence, linking him to being the child, and then they killed him or whatever, and then it would be like, oh, the child's dead, it's taken care of, and then she would be safe. Right?
Yeah, that was
But
my idea.
There wasn't, right?
The memory would be the evidence I would offer.
Yeah.
But other than that,
I just kind of just thought of this right now, so forgive
Lay
me
it on
for
us.
like
Yeah,
piecing
yeah.
it
No,
together.
that's what it's for.
While it's fresh.
I'm thinking, going kind of back to the topic of like, if are these like replicants allowed to lie or like reason out of their programming or whatever? If Ryan Gosling really believed he was the child, and he actually lied to
Robin.
Robin Wright about it's taken care of.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Was that like what I'm trying to get at is that him overriding his code, let's say, or is it because he kind of knew he wasn't? Something wasn't piecing right.
No, I mean,
Or does it show that
at that
he's
point, he believed that he was the child.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, it's taken care of, as in like, I know that I'm the child, so like, I'm not like gonna.
I'm not gonna
do
kill
it.
myself
Yeah,
kind of
I'm not
thing.
gonna kill myself
But
doing
I
this.
on a are you talking about like on a subconscious level, he kind of had an idea that he wasn't really, that the memory may have been implanted, and that's why he was able to tell that lie? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
And if he was able to tell that lie, then we were kind of shown
That's a really good point.
I thought that pointed out that he was an older model and not the newer ones because he
I see.
wouldn't have been able to lie to her.
So I'm also thinking
But
about
that's the whole thing,
The
the
whole
ambiguity with obey.
made to obey was maybe they were made to have the baseline, and that could
Right,
it's
that
like
goes back to
they
the-
can measure, like before they could measure if you were replicant, if you were not. And in this one, they can measure if you are good replicant or if you are off chart replicant. And I'm thinking maybe maybe it goes back to they can break out of their code, but all the ones that do are just noticed as being off base and are disposed of.
Yeah.
All right.
So definitely worth another watch. I know I said it 100
Yeah,
times, but
yeah.
I'm gonna see it again.
Yeah.
Watch it 3 times,
You guys
guys.
can tell me about
4
it.
times.
Okay. Any final thoughts? I know we can go for another whole hour about this,
we
but
could start again.
but yeah.
I love this movie.
I thought this movie was more about Ryan Gosling and how he thought he was special, then finds out he's not special, but in actuality he is special, just not for the purpose that he thought he was. So I thought this was more on an individual basis, where I thought the first movie at least made me feel like how we look at human life all around, how we think of starving people in Africa, how detached we are. There's this human detachment, but Harrison Ford goes on beyond that, and it's like, I value all life, even if it's not considered to be equal or as good or as
Human.
important as me. And that's why I got the bigger feeling from. I think there's some of that in this new movie, but I felt like it was more about Ryan Gosling wanting to be human. He wants to be an individual, whereas Ryan Gosling was trying to see everyone else as human.
I think I totally agree. I think the second one was way less, compared to the first, I think the second one's way less about the thin line between, what constitutes, being real, or, what's valuable life, what's the difference, and,
Where do you
don't
stop?
know. But the second one, barely,
The
it's
second
way
one's more about
specifically-
self-discovery, almost,
Yeah.
in a sense.
And I still think it touches
Identity
what
and-
identity and
It definitely
what is
does.
human.
But I thought it was more interesting in the first one about it's the perception of others, because that's very important, at least to
Sure.
me. I've always kind of laughed at people that need to discover themselves, even though I'm kind of going through that period of my life now. But I think that's really important, is to humanize others and realize that you're not the center of the universe. And I think the first one does a good job of that, and I think the second movie kind of does that too. But I think there's a lot of movies out there right now that are kind of about self-discovery, and I think it feels kind of like a little bit of the same old story.
I see. So you feel like it's just a little bit.
Yeah, I felt like
you've had too much
the
of it.
original Blade Runner still has a unique take on humanity, where this one kind of felt a little more self-absorbed.
Yeah, that's very fair.
I mean, in the first one, that last
The last dialogue makes
yeah,
the whole movie.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
the
That
boss,
thing just
like
tells you,
the-
explains to you
yeah.
every
Oh,
single
The bleach blonde bad guy who. It's
His
hard
name
for me
Roy,
to even
right?
say bad guy,
It's
because
just-
he just wants to
just the
live.
antagonist.
He just wants to live, and no
Yeah.
one's letting
No one's
him
letting
live
him.
his
I mean,
life.
he did
Yeah.
kill 23
No.
people and steal a spaceship.
But no one's willing to help
can move
him.
past that.
Everyone wants just him to die or rot. What other choice does he have
Sure.
other than to fight?
He's literally.
Yeah, I
that's
guess so,
what
but I mean,
society
he did
wants
just,
him to do. Is pushing him
steal
to
a
do.
ship and kill everyone on it.
Yeah, but
they
he
may not
already knew he was
directly-
being hunted. If I was being hunted, I would do crazy ass shit too.
To survive.
I'm just saying I wouldn't.
And then the news would probably just blame me for being crazy. It's
I mean, right. If we go into the whole moral things, what he did was morally wrong, yes, but
sorry.
his purpose was,
I didn't
like-
mean to get into a whole big debate.
yeah,
No, no.
yeah,
I felt like
It's good.
that's
I
fine.
felt I liked the at least moral and the moral behind the first movie more than I liked the metaphors and all that in the first movie more than I liked in this.
So you like the moral dilemma in the first one more,
Yeah.
a little bit more so than the second.
Yes.
A lot more so than the
So
second.
real quick, like I really like the moment in the second one where Harrison Ford makes it really clear how he feels when Ryan Gosling asks like, is he real? The dog? And he's like, ask him. Like, cause that's all that matters.
Yeah,
you know.
that's
perfect.
it's your perception. Like,
perception doesn't matter. It's about like kind
And
of.
that's what that's all Harrison Ford cares about.
That's all I needed.
That's a really just one quick line to really sum up what the movie the first movie left with. I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
That is excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Harrison Ford. And just like this is
Good job.
you know.
Crashing planes.
Cool. Any final thoughts? What about you, Jonathan?
I can't like stop raving about this movie. I absolutely loved it. I for me it's hard to differentiate between the first film and the second film. I definitely think they're on par on different levels.
Sure.
But like on par with being good. One thing that just really made the whole film for me was that just like that last pivotal scene of like Ryan Gosling going to save Harrison Ford while he's being kidnapped, and you have that whole fight between
Love and
Kay, and then just the water's just rising, and you could just feel
It's just so emotion
the
and
whole
like it's
tension.
funny. It's just so great. Yeah.
I think one thing that I don't know if anybody else like appreciated as well is like just the sound engineering of that music, the very industrial sounds, and just like
that's totally
Yeah, from the
That's
first
totally
one.
the first
Yeah.
it's totally from the first
it's
one.
Yeah.
The sound and the
like
environment matched the first
Yeah.
one. I was
They just-
very happy about that.
They replicated it
Whoa.
very well.
That was
Very
funny.
Hold
well.
on, everybody.
That's
There
very
was
funny.
a
Whoa,
joke there. I don't
That's
know.
our ending note, everyone.
And we're done.
They
I
replicated
didn't
it.
know.
end on a good one, boys. That was.
Well, give me your last
I'm here
thoughts,
on
Drew.
that, guys. I'm here.
I could keep going on, but definitely liked it. Definitely want to see it again. In the first movie, that ending monologue scene, one of my all-time favorite cinematic moments now.
Shakespearean almost.
Is
It
is
It's totally Shakespearean.
tears lost in rain. Like that, I think that's the quote. Is
Yeah.
beautiful. It was beautiful. But the second one, I enjoyed a lot as well. I'm just gonna just leave it at that.
All right, and
No replicant joke?
No joke.
okay, and Roy, since we're like scooting over here and joining us, what are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts is I'm positive I can't beat that joke. I enjoyed the movie quite a bit. I think I like.
You mean you can't replicate it?
Oh, I can replicate it, but it won't be as good as the original. It'll just be a copy, a cheap copy.
Lordy,
But-
lordy,
Forever.
lordy.
And bye, Drew.
I like how the first one goes into. I just like the specifics and like examples of like, like the eyeballs and like getting different eyeballs and stuff. Like the more technical like aspects of it. I just like that stuff.
And how it was just like just a whole motif like throughout the whole film, like just the eyes of the replicants. The first one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you talking about?
I haven't seen the first one in a long time. I just
see.
remember specifically about like they're looking at eyeballs, like different eyeballs and stuff. I don't know.
In the second one too, that's how they measured his.
Yeah.
I feel like it was more apparent in the first one though.
Oh, definitely.
It definitely
the,
was.
the shining eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think overall this is again just a phenomenal movie. I loved every bit of it. It was an amazing journey. So yeah, I think that calls our review for Blade Runner 2049. So again, this is I Want to Talk Movies. I'm Andy.
Get off my plane.
Ooh.
I don't know who that was. I'm a replicant.
All right.
I'm Drew.
Thank you, and thank you, Jonathan, and thank you, Royce, for chiming in and joining us today.
Royce doesn't know what happened.
No, he's not. No, we're just gonna keep going. But now that it's awkward, but
Transition.
feel free to subscribe and write.
I was doing the.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Before I heard you say that.
Yep.
Yeah.
We
But if
do
you have any
that
questions
at
or
the same
thoughts,
time.
please email us at iwanttotalkmovies@gmail.com or just write in the comment section. Yeah. So we're out.
Bye.
Bye.
Deuces.